5-1. I hereby call this meeting of the Winnsboro Planning and Zoning Commission to order at 5:31 p.m. At this time, we ask that all cell phones, other than those of the board, be placed on mute. If you wish to address the board, please wait for the presiding officer to call for comments. February 21st,
First.
It says December.
February 1st.
February 1st.
That was our last meeting.
See, it's not letting me open the page for the, so let's do this.
Did you read them beforehand? I went back over it. Do you want me to?
Yes.
I mean, they're pretty short if you want me to read them.
Okay.
Member Thatcher suggested a grammatical correction in item 4, noting that members suggested replacing the term city administrator with code enforcement officer throughout the document. Mm-hmm. Remember that? Mm-hmm. Consider vacant building ordinance. Members discussed the previously considered vacant building ordinance and public perception of the ordinance. Motion made to recommend the vacant building ordinance with the change to section 3.12.005.2 criminal penalties to read a fine not to exceed $500 for the first offense and $500 for subsequent offenses, and forward the ordinance to the City Council for review and approval. All in favor? Next one was consider historic overlay district ordinance. Members spoke about the previously recommended historical overlay district and that people did not seem to understand that the proposed committee would consist of building owners. Members discussed the parameters and what buildings would be included and which ones would not, and what any given owner could do with a building within that district. Remember we talked about the opt-out deal?
We did.
Motion made to recommend ordinance 1029-2022 historic overlay district to City Council for review and possible approval. And then last one was consider alternative zoning requirements. Single family 1, members discussed possible changes to the current single family 1 zoning ordinances and how they compare to other cities in the area. Members then discussed a need for a firm to do a review of current ordinances. City Secretary explained that such a request would need to be forwarded to the City Council for approval if the Commission is seeking to hire such a firm or individual, and that one was tabled until this meeting, which we forgot. I didn't even think about that when we did this agenda for this meeting. And then the approval of minutes, that was it. I make a motion that we approve the minutes. I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All against? Okay, so the minutes are approved. Moving right along. So discussion action for formal training for the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Yeah, we had talked with Mackenzie about that since, when we had this meeting, we didn't have a city administrator yet.
Exactly.
So we were like, okay, we need some direction.
We do need
What
some
are we
direction.
doing? And now that you're here, maybe we don't have to go through formal training. I don't know, what normally happens when people join a P&Z? I mean, we read all the documents, but I never got any training.
Well, let me first say that this is the first time any of my planning and zoning commissions have ever even wanted training, so thank you, I appreciate that very much. There is a lot of free training through TML. I mean, it's at least gonna give you a foundation, it's not gonna teach you everything you need to know about planning and zoning, but it is free to us and for members, and then the City Hall Essentials, it's really cheap to do your webinars. Depending on y'all's availability, you can do it in a setting like this, where we, put something on the screen and you purchase it one time, but everybody benefits from it. Really, the best teacher is just experience, which as long as you have a strong city volunteer that kind of knows land use and can help educate as we go through the processes, that's gonna be your biggest thing. It's just you guys knowing what the ordinances say, what the land use says, what the table of uses say, and how that impacts your decision. A lot of that's gonna come from me directly, where when something comes before you guys, I'm gonna say, hey, here's a replat, we're required to have a hearing for this reason. Here's what they're asking for, here's what ordinance says, here's why they can't.
A Zoom kind of a deal? Like, we don't have to go somewhere
The City Hall
outside of?
Essentials is mostly all online.
Okay,
And I believe TML is too, their learning centers, their webinars, that they just archive.
okay.
So what about looking at things that have been in place for a long time and do they need to be updated, and how do we know we're gonna rely on?
Well, then what next? Is that where you come in and you let us know, here's what we need to start looking at?
Yeah, so typically, what drives the P&Z agenda is the public, if they're coming in needing replats, or they're wanting a variance, or they're wanting a specific use permit, when some of those things are coming in. So the more those things start to happen, you guys may say, man, we've done 6 replats this month, why are we doing so many? So then we're gonna look at the ordinances as well, ordinance requires it for this reason. Then maybe you guys wanna consider making a recommendation that you do something different. Same thing for, you're fixing to be hit with a non-conforming use, that I'm gonna bring to the table for you guys, where there's an issue where we permitted something and it really isn't eligible for use in that area. So again, that's just an opportunity for me to bring that to you and just kind of let you know why we're doing it, what the ordinance says. And so as we start walking through certain situations like that, everything's gonna refer back to the ordinance. And that's when you guys are gonna start having the red flag saying, well, that's dumb. Well, that shouldn't be that way. Well, that's old. Well, that's out, and so through processes like that, we can start making little changes. If we need to make big changes, and TJ, I think part of the reason the one issue with the master plan, kind of making overall changes, I had mentioned that I'd heard that we had a grant for that, so I was gonna look into that and get back with you.
Yeah.
I found out that it wasn't for what we're needing, for like ordinances and things, and so we can, I have experience with going out with consultants and having them come in and do a comprehensive review of your planning and zoning ordinances. And I'll just share with the rest of you what I shared with TJ. You may be on the phone too, actually. Historically, my experience with any sort of comp plan revision is the foundation of your P&Z is usually doesn't change a whole lot. The things that typically will change in those are things that are local decisions. So we have a downtown market area, a downtown district. Well, not every city has that. So those are some local decisions that you guys need to make. Some cities are lakefront communities, so they need to address front yard, backyard issues where maybe we don't need to do that here. So more of those local decisions is really what we're gonna be looking at changing. But the overall, usually, I haven't really got into the ordinances a whole lot, but usually the overall foundation piece of your planning and zoning ordinance, your land use, things like that, they're pretty much, they stay the test of time. So
Okay.
that's kind of, I do have some options for us to look at, to do some consulting work for an overall comprehensive review of those. I think you guys
Okay.
are interested in that.
Yeah, I mean, I think we need to, as I've read through what I have read through, I was just like, this is clear as mud. I mean, it's like, and some of it seemed like so outdated to me, or not pertinent to what, Winnsboro needs, and that's why I was like, man, if we're gonna have to like delve into redoing the whole thing, we need direction, because we don't know how to do that. I don't know how to do that.
I would make a recommendation that you guys start capturing those things that just don't make sense to you, so that when we get to the point of hiring a consultant and come in, we're not starting from scratch. So as we walk through the next couple of months and kind of start bringing that to the table, start making notes of those things and tie them specifically to which ordinances, because that's what the consultants will ask for. And even if you don't know really what
Okay, that sounds good.
Makes sense.
Well, so do we
I like
want to
it.
do a TML training after the election?
Yeah, I think there's a lot going on between now and then.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to do anything right
keep
now,
going
but
in Winnsboro.
at some point soon. Yeah,
Just saying. Do you have yours on?
she does.
Okay, she couldn't bring her laptop.
No, but I have
She
my
got the
button.
win pin, though.
She got the win pin.
I have my button, that's right.
Okay, well, I'm good with that.
Okay. And I'm kind of good with her explanation. We will learn as we go. It's kind of trial by fire type thing, so it's like, okay.
And I can go ahead and reach out to my contact in the consulting world. It's Bureau Veritas, you're probably familiar with them. They have a consulting group right now. He actually is someone who did the comp plan for the city that I came from 20 years ago. I didn't even know it was him. I'd never met him, and he just kind of came into city hall and said, hey, I'm doing this, and I didn't know it was him, so I started complaining about our comp plan that we had and how outdated it was, and he's like, you think I can use our plan? And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. But we worked with him through a comp plan revision, and they were very affordable, and he was just very, very efficient. He created all new zoning maps for us. He created land use, density projections. Just, he was very, very comprehensive, and in my opinion, pretty affordable. So if you want, I can reach out to him and just get a preliminary idea of what he can provide and what those would cost, see
Yeah.
which pieces of that you all want to take to council per se.
I think that's.
That'd be great,
Okay.
I think. Do we don't have to take action if we just, the consensus is to wait and
Yeah,
do?
there's no action
something.
taken on that.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Now what?
Well, we're on what, 5?
5, which is just updating zoning ordinances.
Well, and that really kind of tied into the same.
Right there.
I mean, I don't know what else I was thinking on that, actually. That kind of overlapped. I mean, everything I've read needs to be updated to some extent. So you kind of answered already, how do you go about doing that? Because we've really only had to meet on 2 or 3 requests since I've been on P&Z. The Barrel House
Yeah.
and the RV thing and the trailer park deal.
The trailer
So,
park thing, that's it.
and that was not hard. I mean, as things come up and you're being asked to consider doing this or not doing this, that's easy. But when you just read through the whole ordinance and you're like,
It's like giving homework and I have no idea what we're supposed to do.
you missed the instruction.
Yes.
But you got the homework anyway.
So if you guys are wanting to kind of pare it down a little bit, I would recommend that you start with the table of uses. And then that's going to list your zones across the top, and then you're going to have your list of uses. And so you're going to go storage buildings. They're not allowed in a B1. Why wouldn't storage buildings be allowed in a B1? And start make that table of uses really is what's going to point you to these other pieces of the ordinance that are more narrative form. Okay.
Okay, that makes sense, yeah. Good.
It does.
Hey, she
It
gave us
does.
a starting
Okay,
place.
okay.
It does, David, it makes sense.
It does, yes, it does. Just smile and nod.
Oh, goodness. So really, there's nothing on 5,
Mm-mm.
we discussed it sort of already. The entertainment district ordinance, the 6th item, was just that, we're always, when I came on P&Z, I was like, I feel like we're trying to recreate the wheel here. Looking at all this stuff that was going on at the time when I joined, like the vacant building and the historic overlay. I was like, why don't we just pull up Granberry and totally steal it? I mean, or some other comparable town that's got it going on like we want. So that's what we started doing. I went to their website and just totally downloaded it and changed the Granberry to Winnsboro. No, it's not quite that simple, but because they are on a lake, like you said, they have other things going on. But then I realized that, and I don't know if Granberry is one that's an entertainment district, but I know McKinney is. McKinney's, of course, way bigger than we are. They're more like, I guess, comparable to Sulphur Springs, maybe. Well, Frisco kind of all just goes together, but as I understand it, the entertainment district would allow some things for us that we could capitalize on that we don't have in our current, is that right?
I'm not familiar with an entertainment district, but the lady did tell me that we do have an ordinance, and I can give you guys a copy of it. Okay, so that one page.
Oh, we were told to
That's a cheat
disregard
sheet.
until further notice, so.
It's further notice.
This is further
There we
notice?
go.
Okay.
We got
Now
notice.
it's further notice,
This
okay.
is further notice. Now, Now, this obviously is not anything what you're wanting to do, but I think this is probably the starting place for that. If, I'm assuming that the entertainment district would be limited to Market Street.
I would think so, or to, at
Or
least to
Main and
downtown.
Market.
Okay. So as we start thinking that way, I think using this as a piece of making it one of the things that we kind of ran into is, for example, the sign ordinance. You guys have made a recommendation, and it was redlined, but we have two other ordinances that are already existing. So what I would like to do moving forward is if we want to do something new, let's look backwards and see if there's already something existing like this that we can amend to make it exactly what we want, so that when we're in the office, we're not looking for three or four ordinances to see
Right.
what makes sense.
Yep.
So we're looking for things like a repealer clause or an amendment. My
Yep.
preference would be that we repeal the old one, and whatever we want in the new one, if it's in the old, let's just bring it forward.
Mhm.
Yep.
It makes it easier to, for the key piece of it.
Right,
Yep.
right.
No,
Because register.
Well, and like I said, I don't know that much about the entertainment ones, but my understanding was that, I mean, one thing that stood out when I was looking into it was that it would allow people to walk around in an area, downtown or whatever, with alcohol and not have to have bought it right there, and not have to, like in McKinney, if you go to that backyard restaurant or whatever it is, you can take it with you. You don't have to stay on their property. And that's something that we don't have right now, right? I mean, you can't leave a restaurant with,
Can't go from the taco dive over to the
I
Bowery
was gonna say,
Boutique.
we don't have
Right.
many, but if, right, Taco Dive is at one end of the street, and
Say Leafy says that's it, at the
at
other end
the
of the
other,
street.
And that's just-
if they walk from one end to the other, then, yeah.
and that's just one thing that stood out from that. I know there are other things that would benefit the city if we looked at the possibility. And I don't know if you have to replace, if it's one or the other, or I don't know enough about it, but I thought you might know, so.
I think special events, you
But
Uh,
not
now-
can,
generally.
not just all the time.
Okay,
But making it an entertainment,
Control that they don't go out of the area, particular area.
right,
TNBC makes it pretty difficult to do that for special events, but you can do it.
okay.
You have to get a special permit from TNBC to do that.
Which we do when we do
Art and Wine.
Festival.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
Um,
was out there.
But I guess you're talking about doing it all the time.
it'd be
just-
permanent, it would be
Yeah.
part of, it would be like an entertainment or an entertainment district.
Right.
Which gives, it kind of be like the historical district, it just gives it the overlay of, you can do it within these boundaries between this street and this street.
Right, that was my understanding.
That's what I thought.
In McKinney, you know, that it's a courthouse, they've got a
Square.
square, so they stay within that boundary. Anyway, it was just a thought, if it's something that would benefit us, we might look into doing it. I don't think Granberry has that, do you know? I think they're probably like we are, but I don't know.
Do you know if the city has an off-premise consumption, anything that allows for off-premise consumption?
Don't know.
No idea. So again, there's nothing really, any action, I just wanted to toss that out there.
Kind of,
because
right.
I don't know enough to even be dangerous.
Can you have the time, or any of you guys really, to find some ordinances that you like and maybe just put them my way?
Mhm.
Find the
If you
cities
look up
that you like
McKinney.
what they're doing and.
After the election.
After the elections, he says.
Okay.
Yep, yep. Yeah, Granberry, as far as, for most of their ordinances that I've had time to read through, that's like super close to us.
I don't remember if they have an entertainment
I don't think
ordinance,
they
though.
do. I didn't run across it because I didn't know anything about
But
it.
we can look at it.
Yeah.
before.
And again, the consultant may have some recommendations too. You can have a lot more resources.
Yeah.
And work with cities in a broader
Yeah.
strokes and what I've dealt with, so
Mhm.
it'll be a good option too.
Okay. Well, I have the Granberry ordinance downloaded. I just haven't, I've only read through the part that we were working on at the time, so didn't read through the whole thing. But we just basically wanted to have a meeting so we could keep it going, you know, because we had a meeting, or two maybe, in July, and then we didn't have a meeting again until February. And here it is April, and it's like, we don't want to lose momentum. We were kind of getting some things done, and then it's just like,
Kind of fell flat.
yeah. So that's all I had.
Do we
it's
I don't know
just,
if there's anything else coming up at all.
well, until city council acts on what we've already sent up. I'm sure
Is
we'll,
there
Does that just sit there and wait
That's
for
the
them?
other question, is there were two things that were sent to,
Council?
well, at least approved from here to send to city council to have them act, and I don't think it's ever
Nothing's
been
ever
on
happened because
city-
you've
I
had the
don't-
Sigma issue.
Yeah, I don't think it's ever been on city council's agenda.
Yeah, so I did talk to the mayor, one of them historical overlay.
Yes.
Is that what we're talking about?
Yes.
I've talked to both her and the Brenda Love,
Uh-huh.
and they both feel like that the timing of that isn't great to push that right now. If that's something you want me to push the council and have them make formal action, I can do that. But, they feel like maybe the timing isn't great on that. So, I mean, I don't know, that's.
Why? Did they say why?
I guess because of the pushback that's received and in the midst of all the bonds and everything going on.
It's gotten pushback every time we have sent it up, so personally, that's just
yeah,
me.
but I mean, Brenda's
We
probably,
can,
Brenda is a
she's the
better
Main
gauge.
Street person, so let's probably go with her recommendation on that. I mean, we've sent it up, but they can act on it when it might be more
I will tell you that
well received.
One of the things that Kendra brought up quickly was protecting our downtown areas from our historical buildings. And so I just asked the question, you know, can we get the assistance from historical commission on protecting those buildings, which is higher than us, you know, we can just say, sorry, you know,
Right.
talk to them, that's good for us.
Yeah.
And so I started that conversation with Brenda, and they are putting that into motion, there's a lot of paperwork and stuff, and so she spoke with whoever it is at the county that can push that through for us. And so that is a piece that they're working on now as of last week to kind of start that process of getting that protection from the higher up from us for those historical downtown buildings.
Which is another reason to kind of wait and see what happens, right?
I would just say, we have pushed it and pushed it and pushed it. And
Now, the signs,
it's, and the historical overlay, it's, if we want something to happen, or something to protect the downtown historic area, we can't do. We have pushed it over a year since I've been involved with P&Z. So, I will take, I agree with Brenda, I mean, I work with Brenda on Main Street and everything else, but we can't just keep pushing it down the road forever.
But it's honestly, I think it may be best letting Brenda handle it because
No, I agree.
it won't fall on us. You can just say, no, it's them that's doing it. We'll let her take the lead. But what about the sign?
yeah, what about the signs?
You were gonna
Is that
say
really-
something.
Sign, what I need, did you guys, when you sent the red line, did y'all compare it to the other two to see if there were any conflicts?
Whatever.
So that's what we're talking about, that's what.
Always look backwards before you look forwards.
So if council were to approve that, we still have those two other ones. So really what we need to do is maybe take a step back and review what you guys are wanting with the two that are already existing, so that we'll know if that new one needs to repeal or amend. And so if you guys can just take, I can send you the other two, so that you guys can just take a look at those other two and compare it with the third. Because as far as pushing it through council, we need to know that preamble. Is it amend, is it a repeal? We don't know.
Well,
Okay.
Angie can probably answer this. Didn't we start with what we had in that, what we started redlining? No? See, that was already started when I came on, so I assumed that they started with the old one and was just updating it, but that's not the case? Okay.
So I'll send that to you guys so that y'all will have the other two, but I mean, as soon as y'all get something, you know, cleaned up, ready to go with the verbiage that you want, let me know, we'll have another one, you guys can make it, and yes, to answer the question, I'll be the point of contact for getting that stuff pushed through from you guys.
Okay.
And the sign thing, that really shouldn't, I mean, there's nothing going on that would affect that once we get it like we want it, right? I mean, that could go on now, okay. Because the billboards, we had the pole signs, we had, I've forgotten, what else? The trailers, I don't know, it was all in there.
We did one on the new one. We went with amendments, not brand new.
Yeah, that one, we did. That one was amended, the billboard
The
one.
signs and billboards, yeah.
And did y'all discuss that, Jim? Did that one get, that one might have gotten passed. I can't remember. It's been so long. I think that one did. It did. Okay, Angie's right.
Okay.
So that one was an amendment and it did go through. Okay. Well, good. Well, that's why we wanted to meet tonight, to get everything figure out where we are, and it's been so long, we were like, what are we doing?
I know, right? Being on P and Z was just memories of.
Okay, well, look at that. You can beat John
I
on
know,
the
right?
adjournment time.
What?
On the
Oh.
adjournment time. It's like a record.
So I guess that is it.
If y'all don't have anything else, I'm good.
Okay.
David, yes, you have
I
this.
know. Where are we at?
You're at the very end.
I'm gonna call for a time for adjournment at 5:57 PM. Are we good? Is it? Thank y'all.
That was like a 26-minute meeting.